The rap game lost two of its best artists in the 90s when Biggie and Pac died, but a lot of people think there was one dude who was better than both of them. Big L changed the game with just one album before being brutally murdered on his own block, and today we're breaking down the entire story. Big L came up on 139th and Lenox in Harlem. It's a wild place, especially back in the day, and Big L started calling it the danger zone. He was raised by a single mother named Pinky because his dad dipped out of the picture when he was a kid, but L also had his older brothers, Don and Lee, to look up to. Their mom was a hustler who did everything she could to provide for the family and looked out for everyone else on the block too. Big L wasn't her real son, but Pinky never treated him differently. After her brother came back from military deployment, he was too unstable to take care of a kid, so Pinky adopted Big L at a young age. Back in the day, she was president of the Tenants Association and threw block parties for the whole neighborhood. They had it made compared to most people, but when they were kids, they had no idea that the jealousy could have deadly consequences. L was always into horror movies and other dark stuff, and that's how he ended up creating a whole new genre of rap later on. His brother Don is the one who sparked his love for hip-hop though. Back in 1984, Don had 2 tickets for Run DMC, but his homie flaked at the last minute. He saw L playing in the park and decided to take him along instead, and that's the moment that changed everything. Watching Run DMC rock the stage had L hooked from the jump. After that, Pinky bought them some DJ equipment and Don would DJ while L spit Big Daddy Kane verses he had memorized. But while Don and Big L were working on their craft, their brother Lee was getting active in the streets. Lee was a year younger than Don, but everyone thought he was the oldest because of how scary he was. Don told Complex that back then, Lee was always putting hands on people, and their homie Jules said Lee was the most notable scary guy amongst a group of scary guys. Before he started writing his own rhymes, L would sit on the block and watch the local rap dudes battle each other. His homie D-Wiz was battling all the time, and eventually he told L to just get a notebook and start writing his own bars. The first time L rapped for Jules and D-Wiz, they took him straight to a local producer named Shortman and they started working together. Jules and D-Wiz also brought him to open mics in the city, and everyone he rapped for could see the potential. Lord Finesse is a rapper from the Bronx who was already buzzing back then, and Big L wanted to link up with him. So when Finesse was signing autographs at a record store on 125th, L walked in and started spitting for him. Finesse came up battle rapping in the streets and was around all kinds of dope rappers, but he knew from the jump that L was special. Finesse took L under his wing and brought him everywhere. Fat Joe was in Finesse's Digging in the Crates collective back then, and he told Complex that the whole crowd went crazy the very first time L hit the stage with Finesse. Finesse also gave L his first feature spot on the track Yes You May. L went on the radio for the first time in '92 and rapped on the Stretch and Bobbito show. It was a legendary show that put on underground artists and gave them a chance to prove themselves, and some of the biggest artists in the game got started there. Biggie, Eminem, Jay-Z, the Wu-Tang Clan, and way more broke out because of Stretch and Bobbito. So when L showed up to the studio, he knew the stakes were high. The pressure didn't get to him at all though, because L knew how nice he was on the mic. He went back 4 or 5 times, and the most legendary moment was when he brought Jay-Z with him and they traded bars live on air. Jay-Z is one of the greatest rappers of all time, but Big L kept up with him, and some people say he actually beat Jay in a rap battle on the street. Finesse used to set up battles for L, and Big L was so good from the jump that dudes thought Finesse was writing for him. Winning battles was like a hustle for L. His homies would set it up with local dudes who thought they had the skills and put money on the line. Then L would come through and dust everyone. One day, Jay-Z told Dame Dash he wanted to battle Big L, so L came to their block ready to throw down. There's no video of what happened, but Dame Dash said it was a tie. L's brother Don said Big L definitely won, but unfortunately we'll never get to actually hear what they were spitting. L was so good that Biggie even brought him out on tour before he ever dropped an album. Biggie even flipped a sample Big L used for his track MVP on the record One More Chance. L never had the opportunity to blow up like Biggie, Jay, and Nas did, but it's clear he was influencing all of them back in the day. He's also the reason why Cameron and Mace ever started rapping. They were always in the same area chilling with L, and when they saw him taking it seriously, they decided to hop in the booth too. Mace, Digga, Cameron, and Cameron's cousin Bloodshed started a crew called Cage Fury and tried to get Big L to join. At first, he was too busy with other projects, but after his homie Herb McGruff started rocking with them, L finally joined and they changed their name to Children of the Corn. Dame Dash from Rockefeller Records was even going to manage the crew, but all of them ended up working more on their solo careers instead of their group Children of the Corn. And after Bloodshed tragically died in a car crash in '97, they officially called it quits. Big L didn't just inspire his homies to start laying down tracks though. Without him, one of the most famous artists of all time might not even have a career. L had a style like nobody else in the game and is credited with starting a new genre of rap called horrorcore. L combined his love of horror movies with the real-life violence of Harlem, and on his debut single Devil's Son, he shocked everyone with wild bars like, On my skull, the 666, no tricks. When I catch fits, my mom picks up the crucifix. And I kill chumps for the cheapest price. I'm rolling with Satan, not Jesus Christ. Enemies, I got several done. Big L straight from hell, the motherfucking devil's son. And I'm a stone villain, known for killing and raping nuns. Hey yo, I even kill handicaps and crippled bitches. Look at my scalp real close and you'll see 666. L could have blown up a lot faster if he had a more radio-friendly style, but he wasn't trying to be a pop star. Dropping crazy tracks like Devil's Son definitely didn't help his career, but it kicked down the doors for artists like Eminem later on. 6 years after Devil's Son came out, Eminem blew up with the track My Name Is and changed the game. Big L was a huge influence on his style, and on the track Patiently Waiting, he shouted him out and rapped, "Take some Big and some Pac, and you mix them up in the pot. Sprinkle a little Big L on top, what the fuck do you got? You got the realest and illest killers tied up in the knot. The juggernauts of this rap shit, like it or not." Big L paved the way for Eminem, but the rap game wasn't ready for him back then. He scored a huge win by signing with Columbia Records, but they had no idea how to market him. L was buzzing in the city, but Columbia didn't really push him, and his debut album, Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous, didn't sell much at all. Columbia dropped him a year later, but L didn't let it slow him down. He started throwing parties and selling tickets. Plus, he moved a little weight on the side to help pay for studio time and equipment. L was never heavy in the streets, but he was surrounded by crime and violence 24/7. He was into shooting dice and would raid his brother Lee's re-up money if he was down a few racks. The gambling never got him in trouble. But one time, Big L and his homie had their coats snatched. The next day, someone told the dudes who did it where Big L was from, and they brought the coats back immediately. He rapped about the situation on his track, Stand Strong, and said, "I stay Rolexed and never get tested. So what that tell you? My whole crew puff blunts and fuck stunts. I won't lie, I got stuck once. Then I seen the kids who did it, cock my gat and got that back. Now you figure the rest. I'ma stop at that." His brother Lee was way more active in the streets and everyone in the area was afraid of him. There used to be an illegal gambling spot on 136 in Lenox where all the old dudes would be throwing money around. Those kind of games don't get robbed much because of how dangerous it is to try anything. But Lee and his crew rolled up with masks and bulletproof vests and took everything. He ended up getting booked for it because the cops were right outside somehow, but it proved how dangerous he really was. Big L kept up the independent hustle for a while, but Dame Dash had been wanting to sign him for a long time. L could have taken a deal with Rockefeller whenever he wanted, but he was trying to get his homies put on too. He wanted Dame to sign his homies Herb McGruff and C-Town too, but Dame wasn't really down with the idea. In '98, Big L and his brother Lee created Flamboyant Entertainment because he was tired of the major label game. He was doing well with the independent stuff, but in '99, Dame Dash finally agreed to sign L, Herb McGruff, C-Town, and Jay-Z in a collective called the Wolfpack. Big L and Jay-Z being in the same crew would have been crazy. But 1 week after they started making moves, Big L was brutally murdered on his own block. The case has never officially been closed, but this is how it all went down according to people who were around back then. Back in '98, his brother Lee ended up getting booked for violating probation after the cops caught him with a gun. He got hit with a 5-year sentence and was sent upstate. In that same year, his other brother Don caught a drug charge and was locked up at the same time for 8.5 years. According to Don, something went down between Lee and the dude in the neighborhood.
Something that went down with a dude out here with my middle brother, Big Lee.
It's not clear what kind of drama they had, but it allegedly got Big L killed. Don said that Lee sent word from prison that something needed to happen, and Big L got wrapped up in the whole situation. Lee was allegedly beefing with a dude named Gerard Woodley, who had grown up on the same block and was tight with L. Woodley's even on the back cover of Big L's album, Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous, but he allegedly killed his own homie because L tried to take him out first. Lee allegedly wanted to take out Woodley and 2 other dudes and put a bag on their head. Then whoever the shooter was brought Big L with him so he could point him out. It all went left though, and Woodley managed to escape. He allegedly saw L with the shooter though, and 1 week later, Big L was killed. On February 15th, 1999, Big L was chilling in the house, writing lyrics when one of his best friends called about picking up a phone or some bullshit, according to Don. He thinks whoever pulled the trigger scared L's homie into calling him, and that's why Big L left the crib thinking everything was cool. He started walking down 139th, and that's when the shooter popped out and caught him 9 times in the head and chest. Woodley got booked for the murder, but never went to trial due to lack of evidence. According to Don, all of it started over jealousy because their family was always doing better than everyone else in the neighborhood. He said they weren't arrogant about it back in the day, but Big L started carrying himself differently after he started making rap money. L's death had a major impact in Harlem. Everyone knew he might be the greatest rapper alive, and he was finally about to sign a deal that would take everything to the next level. These days, most rap fans at least know his name, but when he died, he was still pretty underground and never got the industry credit he deserved. Losing his little brother made Lee want to switch up how he moved too. He came home in 2002 and wanted to go legit instead of jumping back in the trenches. Lord finessing him met in an IHOP for 3 hours and talks about putting a group together with Lee running things on the industry side. It seemed like he was moving in the right direction, but a few hours after their meeting, Finesse got the call that Lee had been shot and killed. 17 years after Big L's death, his alleged killer was murdered on the same street. On June 23, 2016, Gerard Woodley was found with gunshots in his head and back and pronounced dead on West 139th Street. Another victim on the block L called the Danger Zone. Cameron got a lot of backlash from fans after he was spotted at Woodley's funeral. He was tied with Woodley just like L was back in the day, and he responded to fans on Instagram and rapped, 139 Park, we started off as children, grew up with Big L and the dude who supposedly killed him. A week before that though, Big L tried to kill him. What was he to do? Please don't get in your feelings. When the time's right, I will tell you about these villains. Now everybody's dead, so it ain't about squilling. Even if Woodley killed Big L, his death probably had nothing to do with him. He was a suspect in 4 of the murders and allegedly had all kinds of ops in the street, and eventually all of it caught up to him and he lost his life to the trenches. One source even told the police he did a lot of bad things and someone decided it was time to go. Don and other people close to the situation say Lee is the one who got Big L killed because he put the green light on Woodley, but the cops say there might have been something else going on that led to his death. According to investigators, Big L was part of a crew that was going around robbing drug dealers. They claim he would set up local dudes and give his homies the locations of their stash spots, and he allegedly even set up Woodley to get robbed. They've never released any evidence to back the story up though, and by that time, Big L was working on the biggest deal of his life and probably wasn't robbing small-time dealers. There are still a lot of unanswered questions about Big L's death, but at the end of the day, it's just one of the most tragic losses in rap history. He was on his way to taking over the rap game, and linking up with Rockefeller and Jay-Z would have been huge for him. Big L only had the chance to drop one album while he was alive, and it's crazy how much that one record has influenced some of the biggest rappers of all time. People remember Pac and Biggie and always bring them up when talking about the greatest of all time, but hopefully more people will start to recognize how legendary Big L really was.